Hello everyone, this is Nick from Tech and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go over my experience with the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 multiplayer beta. Overall, I was relatively impressed with the smooth gameplay and the combat was very immersive. However, the first thing I noticed was the Gears of War cartoonish appearance of the characters. I mean, I understand the attempt to make the characters look like killers, but I really don't understand why this dog has fish hooks hanging out in its face. Beta allowed access to multiplayer combat, and there were 4 modes: Control, Capture, Mosh Pit, Search and Destroy, and Chaos Team Deathmatch. Queue times weren't long at all, however there was always this awkward pause while things were loading into the map. I do suspect this is server related, but expect this to be finished by the final release of the game. There were also a variety of players to choose from, each with their own abilities and playstyle, but I really won't be focusing on them today. The first thing I noticed about the graphics was that many of the textures and graphics looked eerily similar to those found in Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, look at this car. Considering the level of modern graphical power, I did expect more out of the textures and graphics, but again, this is a closed beta, so hopefully they've got time to provide more of an updated look and feel. But the graphics that you are seeing is everything maxed out with motion blur turned off. I'm not an avid Call of Duty player, so I'm really not the best, and I did die many times. However, despite my inability to be excellent at this game, it was still relatively fun to play. One of the main issues I have with the game is that it did have a drop in frame rate, which did make playing hard at times. There would often be freezes when a player spawned near your location. However, it must be noted that this was dependent on the time of day, so that leads me to believe it's more of a server-side issue. So hopefully with the release of a future beta and eventually the future game, everything will be resolved as far as this goes. The game did appear to support multi-GPU right out of the box, and in my case, Crossfire. So that was pretty cool. However, I'm not sure if this is part of their optimized for PC advertising kick, or if it's more of a feature provided from PS4 Pro. The average frame rate was at 74 frames per second in a min of 10 with a 1% low of 31. The low was definitely felt during gameplay, however, it was observed to be occurring when friendlies were spawning in view, so this leads me to believe that it's more of a server-side issue, which should be fixed with further iterations of the beta and then the final release of the game. If the drops are on server side, then it is pretty cool that the mid-tiered cards like the RX 480, 580, and the GTX 1060 will be more than enough to power this game for most players at 60 FPS. Do note that I do have a mild overclock on the dual 480s as well as a moderate overclock on the AMD 1700X. The gameplay was smooth and the development of the various abilities and skills is pretty cool. However, some of the stuff feels pretty similar to its competitors. Overwatch and Rainbow Six do come to mind. I do like the smaller scale battles, the 10 versus 10, and I definitely give Activision kudos for the spawn locations. Having the spawns constantly move instead of being at a fixed point really does help with the fluidity in the combat and keeping players engaged at all times. I was pretty disappointed though with the Metal Gear Solid, Gears of War, G.I. Joe cartoon characters instead of having a more realistic or at least semi-authentic appearance. And the arcadey playstyle of Black Ops 4 made Doom 2016 feel like a realistic war simulator, so this kind of highlights the evolution of the Call of Duty franchise in my opinion. If you're a Call of Duty fan, you'll probably love this. Otherwise, if you're like me and you've been, a little disappointed since Black Ops 2, then, maybe try the beta if you can. Otherwise, if you're looking for a good first-person shooter, I'd probably suggest looking elsewhere. Again, this is a beta, so there is another that's scheduled in September. If you have a chance to get on that one, do it. Otherwise, I'll be looking to check on the development between this beta and the next one to see if there is an improvement in frame stability. I am pretty impressed with the support of multi-GPU out of the box and definitely expect stronger server support in the next beta iteration and then the eventual game release. I do believe that this will help alleviate any drops in frames that any players may have experienced on PC, but only time will tell. So when the next one comes out, I will double check and compare. Again, this is Nick from Tech, and I will see you guys in the next one.